Hello and good day, everyone. My name is Darlena Birch, MBA, RDN, and most importantly, public health dietitian. Welcome to my YouTube channel where I discuss U.S. federal nutrition programs, the important role they play in ensuring the health and well-being of all Americans, and how public health dietitians work tirelessly to support these amazing programs. All views expressed on this channel are my own and do not represent the opinions of any entity whatsoever with which I have been, am now, or will be affiliated. In today's video, I'm going to talk about the U.S. Food and Drug Administration Standards of Identity. Chances are you've never heard of this term before, but I promise you it impacts your life in ways you've never realized, as nearly every product in the grocery store has a standard of identity. So let's dive in. Standards of identity, abbreviated SOI, describe what constituents must be present in a certain food, what should not be present, and what may be present per the U.S. Code of Federal Regulations, Title 21, Parts 130 through 169. One example I've seen used to help better understand what an SOI is the example of raisin bread. The SOI for raisin bread specifies a minimum raisin content. This protects consumers who spend extra for raisin bread from a situation of purchasing a loaf of bread with very few raisins in it. Therefore, SOIs are an important tool for defining product quality and can also be used to ensure authenticity. In some cases, SOI specifies appropriate manufacturing processes. For example, the U.S. Department of Agriculture published SOIs that differentiate among manufacturing and cooking processes for a variety of meat products. The Federal Food, Drug, and Cosmetic Act describes SOIs as being used to promote honesty and fair dealing in the interest of the consumers. SOIs even exist in other countries, including Canada, Australia, and New Zealand. Food products labeled as a standardized food that do not meet the requirement of the SOI may be considered mislabeled and potentially fraudulent. The importance of SOI was demonstrated in 2017 when the president of a U.S.-based cheese manufacturer was found guilty of fraud for selling grated cheese products labeled as parmesan and romano that contained absolutely no parmesan or romano cheese in them. Without FDA's SOI for parmesan and romano cheese, it may have been more difficult for prosecutors to demonstrate fraud. An SOI is ultimately a definition that FDA sets for food items that manufacturers must follow. So why should you care? As noted in the previous example mentioned, where the president of a cheese company was found guilty of fraud for not meeting FDA's SOI, these definitions are vital for protecting consumer interest. And if nothing else, it also makes for interesting conversation and controversy. Let me use a personal experience. A few years ago, I attended a meeting for FDA's Nutrition Innovation Strategy where they discussed their efforts to modernize the standards of identity. My organization prepared and delivered an oral comment, surprise, surprise, and I got to witness a particularly salty dairy industry submit their oral testimony. Oat milk, pea milk, soy milk. You've probably heard of all these things in passing, whether or not you've tried them. These are all terms we use regularly to describe plant-based milks, but these terms are actually misleading because FDA's definition for milk is lacteal secretion practically free from colostrum obtained by the complete milking of one or more healthy cows. See, the concern here lies in the fact that labeling plant-based alternatives as milk could lead consumers to believe that these products have the same key nutritional attributes as their dairy counterparts, even though these plant-based alternatives can vary widely in their nutritional content. So what's the alternative? One option would be calling these products soy beverage, pea beverage, or oat beverage. It doesn't have the same ring to it, but per FDA's standard of identities, these products are technically not milk. Now for me, I don't actually see oat milk and automatically think it has the same amount of calcium as cow's milk. In other words, I don't look at a container of soy milk and assume it's nutritionally equivalent, aka nutritionally equal to cow's milk. But I do recognize that I'm a dietitian, and as a nutrition professional, there is a lot of knowledge that I take for granted that isn't intuitive for the average consumer. But the fact remains that there is rising demand for plant-based products like soy-based alternatives to cheese and nut-based alternatives to milk. As a result, there is a growing number of food choices in supermarket aisles. Yet none of these products have been standardized under names like milk and cheese. And this is one reason why FDA held its Nutrition Innovation Strategy meeting, because they wanted to better understand consumers' expectations of these plant-based products compared to dairy products. So what's the real drawback of not having a standard of identity for these plant-based products? How can this issue negatively impact the consumer? Simply put, if consumers assume that plant-based dairy alternatives has the same nutritional content as actual dairy, then it can result in significant health consequences by contributing to underconsumption of key nutrients such as calcium and vitamin D, for which dairy products are good sources in the U.S. population. And the risk of underconsuming key nutrients may be heightened in children if parents substitute certain plant-based beverages for milk because children have less diverse diets than adults, with fewer opportunities for other foods to provide those nutrients. Now, I do want to recognize that many consumers prefer to use plant-based products instead of dairy products for a variety of reasons, including an allergy or lifestyle choice. They absolutely have a right to use and prefer these products over the dairy counterpart. However, FDA does have an obligation to ensure that the labeling of such products does not mislead consumers, especially if this could ultimately compromise their health and well-being. And that's my video on FDA standards of identity. Thanks for joining me today. If you like what you see, please smash the like button and subscribe to my YouTube channel. And remember, you're your own best advocate. Feed your body well, nourish your soul, nurture your mind, and nutrify your spirit. Remain true to yourself and never forget that every second forward is another opportunity to be a better version of your past self. Bye.